Disciple Road Cone here. I was reading through Matthew 17 today, and the Lord dropped this message in my heart. Now, I'm not sure who this is for, but I believe that somebody out there needs to hear this. So I'm trying to be obedient to God, and I'm going to record this video, and I'm going to upload it where I think it's appropriate. If this message is for you, do me a favor, reach out, give me a little encouragement, because this is not what I wanted to do first thing this morning, but I believe this is what God has for us today. So the message is from Matthew chapter 17, verse 1. And it simply says, 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. Now that passage in and of itself doesn't really carry a whole lot of biblical foundational knowledge in it until you start to unpack it a little bit. Have you ever wondered why the prophets would go up on a high mountain in order to speak with God? Now, Jesus isn't the only one that did this. Look at Moses. Moses did the same thing. He climbed the mountain and found the burning bush. Why do you think that they had to do that? Now, some people have told me they thought it was because they would think that they would get closer to God because they were higher in elevation. Well, okay, I can understand that. And some thought it had to do with proving that you were worthy by being able to climb. Okay, well, maybe I could try to understand that too. And some thought it had to do with the thinner air. Now, that one I have a little more problem with. But God calls us to our mountaintop because I believe of several things. And I've done some light mountaineering and a lot of hiking on Mount Rainier in Washington State. And I'll tell you that the altitude changes your perception. The way you see things is a little bit different. When you look down and you look from a higher elevation, things look a little different than they did when you were on the ground. But I don't think that's what makes you draw closer to God. It's hard work to climb, and I get that, and it's exhausting and tiring. And I've had climbs and hikes where I've just been absolutely physically exhausted. But I don't think that's it either. The air definitely gets thinner. I've been at elevations where it becomes harder to breathe, and I don't think that draws you closer to God either. You see, what I believe draws us closer to God is the fact that when we climb or we go up on a mountaintop, we usually go either by ourselves or in a small group. And it's that separation and spending time just with a small group, usually of very close friends, in the midst of God's creation, seeing His beauty and all of the beautiful and wonderful things that He's made. Being separated from your normal life, I believe that's what draws you closer to Him. You see, when you're on the mountain, everything else seems to stop except the mountain. All of your worries fall away. You stop focusing on the things that were happening down below and you focus on why you're there. Everything seems to make more sense, to be more clear, to be more in focus. And that is when you can open your eyes and see God. You see, you don't have to be on a mountaintop in order for these things to happen. You can have them happen in church service. You can have them happen on your bike or in your car. You can have them happen in your prayer closet, your living room, your bedroom. The bottom line is that when you take time, focused and dedicated time, and you clear your head of distractions and allow yourself to listen, to truly listen for the voice of God, that's when you hear Him and when you see Him. But it takes effort, it takes focus, it takes time. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's like climbing. When you first start climbing, it's exhausting and it's debilitating. But it's so rewarding. But as you get more and more comfortable with what you're doing and you get yourself in better physical condition, just like when you practice spiritual things, you become a better spirit in a better spiritual condition, it gets easier. It gets to be less of a chore and less of an activity and more of a routine and something that you enjoy so much more. But here's the important part. In climbing, there's a saying that says, when you get to the top, you're only halfway there. Because you have to get back down again. And did you know that most men that die on mountains, they die after summiting more men die after summiting than they do after or on their way up. It's true, most men on mountains die on their way down. Why? Because they're tired. They get to be in a hurry. They forget basic safety things and begin to get sloppy. They start to see things from the lower elevations. They start to see the real world again, and they start thinking about those things, and they lose their focus on why they're there. You see, many of us do the same when we have a mountaintop experience with God. We get to the top and we celebrate and we bask in God's glory. But on the way back, we allow the things of the world to get back into our head again and to get back into our life again, and we lose our focus. As we lose our focus, we begin to lose that mountaintop experience, and we begin, little bit by little bit, to come off course sometimes, or to get careless, or to forget basic safety things. As you come down from your mountaintop experience, remember why you went there. Keep that focus all the way till you get into your life and begin to climb again. I believe that God is telling us today that we need to spend that time of focusing, spend that time of isolating ourselves, spend that time of being apart from everything that the world does, says, and is, and spend time with Him. We need to find the way to isolate ourselves. We need to find the way to get that separation and be alone with God and enjoy the time on the mountaintop. But I believe He's also telling us that as we begin to leave His presence from that special mountaintop experience, and we carry with us Him on a day-to-day basis, that we need to be careful that we don't get sloppy, that we don't get careless, and that we don't die on the way down the mountain. God wants us to spend that time, and He wants us to climb that mountain over and over again and have that special dedicated time to Him. But in order to do so, you have to live it from the beginning all the way down to the bottom. From the beginning of the climb to the top and all the way back down to the bottom. You need to live that dedicated time with Him. And you need to allow Him to continue to speak to you, even when you're not on the mountaintop. Today, make sure that you take that time. Set yourself aside. Set that time aside. Set yourself apart from everything that's going on, even if it's just a very short time. God can do miracles in split seconds. Take that time and isolate it. Focus and set aside a part of your life for God today. Allow Him to speak to you in a way that perhaps He hasn't done in quite some time. But as you come back away from that time and begin to get back into reality and begin to get back into life again, don't get careless. Stay focused on what you experience on the mountaintop and let it carry you all the way down until you can start to separate yourself and find that special time with Him again. I hope this message has been an encouragement to you. If so, drop me a quick note and let me know. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. And if nothing else, we'll go to the one who knows all the answers together and ask Him to speak to you specifically. I pray God has touched you through this message today. If so, drop me a line and let me know. Have a great day. We'll talk again soon.